Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sunday's Hangout and Hobby Time. Hope everyone's doing well. My name is Jim. I will be your host today and every day moving forward because we don't have any other co-hosts, just me. Um, Today I'm going to be working on some Poxwalkers, which I have 30 of, and I'm desperately avoiding painting them. So we're working on that. I'm going to be chatting my games this week that I played. I'm going to be chatting my thoughts on the WTC cancellation. And yeah, just hanging out, painting. Thought I'd jump on stream for a bit. I watched the Honest Wargamers show earlier regarding our pairing, so I'm going to talk about some upcoming games as well. I just did an interview with Steve Joel for 40k Game Changers, which is really exciting, so keep an eye out for that. And then tonight later, I'm going to be recording Exterminatus podcast, which is another podcast I'm on. So just all over everywhere, living the 40k life. Hope everyone is watching and is having a good day. Might just be me right now, but that's okay. That's what we do. So give me a shout in chat if you're watching. Otherwise, I'm probably going to just run my mouth a little bit and chat, do my own thing. So I got this ultrasonic cleaner. So I got these Terminators. I don't know if you can see this. These Death Shroud from a buddy of mine. And I don't know what he did to them because generally I use Simple Green to strip my miniatures. And I have not had any issues with Simple Green in the past. But these models just would not literally... I sat them in the Simple Green for like 2 days and the stuff just wouldn't come off. Hey Brian, how's it going, man? And so I had them in the Simple Green for like 2 days, and they're like, I don't know. It's like he used like, I don't know what this guy used on them, but it's good, man. I'm just, it's good. How are you? So I'm just trying to figure out what the best way to strip them is. Yeah, I use a Simple Green, and honestly, I don't think it's the chemical because I use Simple Green for all my other strippers, and I don't have any issues. So I think it's just like literally this whatever paints this guy used, or how thick. Hey man, how's it going? I assume that's Darren because I assume Chris is too cool to hang out on the Canhammer feed. Yeah, it sucks about WTC. Something I'm going to talk about today. While I avoid painting Poxwalkers because I really don't want to paint them. You know what though? Like, well, first of all, okay, so let's just jump right into it. So for those of you that don't know, the WTC announced that it is canceling this year's event, which is not a surprise. And I think for me personally, like, I would have been surprised. Like, this is like the worst kept secret, the worst this was very obviously going to get canceled, I thought. I know everyone in like the Team Canada chat obviously is staying quite positive, or trying to be positive, but like given the current situation and like how fast it's changing, and also given the fact that like Canada still has severe border restrictions, even if they hadn't canceled it fully, it would have been canceled for Canadians. So like, even if they decided, you know what, we're going to do the WTC, I don't think we send a team from Canada because I think Canada would have been in a place where it would have been difficult for us to go. I actually looked at, on a whim, I was looking at flights to Atlantic City because Atlantic City Open tickets are going on sale next week, the next Monday, tomorrow, I think. And I'm not going to go, obviously, but because I think it's June 11th, which is only 2.5 months from now, which I still think will be in a pretty deep state of lockdown at that point. But I thought I'd look. I thought I'd look for tickets just to see in case I did want to go how much they would cost. Hey, Forge Master Man, how's it going? I'm going to talk about my game in a bit, but I'm just talking about the WCC cancellation right now. The game went well, and I'm going to kind of go through my game a little bit and talk to you guys through what I thought and what I need to do better. But So anyway, so I was looking at tickets for Atlantic City. I'm just picking like paint off these models, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm doing, because I just pulled these out of the Simple Green bath, and there's, even though I put them in ultrasonic cleaner and everything, there's still like little bits of paint stuck in the corners, and the OCD part of me won't allow me to prime them until all the paint's gone. So I looked at flights to Atlantic City. Can anyone guess? How many flights and how expensive they were from Vancouver to Atlantic City? Give me a guess, if you can guess how many flights there were. Yeah, no. In fact, there were 0 flights. So right now, there's literally, because of the way that their airlines are booked, literally the only flights I looked at, there's that weekend, not even, man. So that weekend, leaving on Thursday and coming back on the Monday, I looked for all of New York State. There's literally 3 flights in all of from Canada going to New York, and they're all going to, I think, LaGuardia or maybe Newark. Like, none of them even go close to Atlantic City. So we're talking 100-mile travel from the airport to the venue, if I can even get there. So then I was like, you know what? Well, I live in Vancouver, so let me look at flights from Seattle, because actually a lot of times I do, if I'm going somewhere in the States, sometimes it's cheaper to travel down to Seattle, which is about 2 hours away, and fly, because domestic flights in this like, I can take a flight from like Vancouver to Florida, and it'll cost like $900. Or if I catch it from Seattle, it costs like $300. Like the domestic flights from international flights from Vancouver to some U.S. destinations are usually extremely expensive, and also they end up like making you go through like all these like layovers. Whereas if I just go down to Seattle, SeaTac, which is like, it's not short distance, but like I can basically jump on a Greyhound. It's like a 2-hour bus ride, basically, to 2.5-hour bus ride. So get on an early bus, sleep that way, or I can even take the train if I want. There's an Amtrak that goes from downtown Vancouver to basically where the airport is, and it costs like $50. So so value-wise, it's always worth it. Usually I don't do it because there's a time component, and if I really want, I can actually fly to Seattle, and then that's usually pretty cheap, like a few $100, and then fly out of SeaTac. So currently there are 0 flights from Vancouver to Atlantic City, and I assume if I decided to go to Europe, it'd be the same. So it's going to be very expensive, very hard to find flights. So I just don't think it's a good year. As far as the event itself, like, honestly, guys, like, I can only speak for myself. And although I am disappointed that it's canceled, I'm also relieved, because it means I don't have to deal with traveling during, like, I already had COVID in September, and it was fairly mild for me. Regardless, I'm not really looking forward to international travel during the pandemic, especially trying to get through like borders, trying to get through various countries, like visa processes. Like, it's an added layer of complexity and stress that I just don't want to deal with. And so and then obviously there's a financial factor there, right? We're talking probably a $3,000 or $4,000 trip. Again, not that I can't afford it. It's just, do I want to be spending that money right now, given everything that's happened? Probably not. And third, and this is just me being completely selfish, having literally been very busy at the start of 9th and having had no events this year. Like, here's the thing, guys. If I'm going to go all the way to Europe to represent Canada for a Warhammer event, because I want us as a team, and I want me as a player to show up and represent ourselves well. It doesn't matter how much TTS we play. Doesn't matter how much we talk about it. The Canadian team, and any teams for that matter that are not getting involved in events right now, would show up to the WTC and get rolled. And I'm just telling you right now, like, that's my opinion. Like, I think, just given the fact that, also, guys, let me know if the volumes are good. I always have issues with volumes because I'm really bad at this, but let me know if, like, my mic's too loud or too low, or if the audio is too loud or too low. But I don't want us as Team Canada to show up to Austria or wherever it's going to be and embarrass ourselves because our country's been in lockdown for a year and a half. None of us have barely played ninth in real life or that many events. We just haven't gotten the practice and cut our teeth the way that I think a WTC team should. And I don't want to spend all that money and show up and have that happen. I think it's bad. It's bad. It's going to be demoralizing. We're not going to enjoy it. Now, will we get practice? Sure. Will there be some benefits? Sure. But like, you know, like Chris Haynes, who's our captain, you know, we've had lots of discussions about it, and we want a podium, right? The reason we're doing all this prep is because Canada in the past has been not super like, I guess, good, I guess, on the world scene. Like we've always been, obviously the Europeans have always like outdone us, the Americans. So we've never really been like, you know, we're a small country too. I think people sometimes forget that California has more people than us, basically. But that's no excuse. Poland's a small country, I think, compared to Canada. You know, there's obviously other small countries that do very well. Germany's not massive. It's not like USA size. But I guess at the end of the day, like, I actually don't want to go to the WTC if I don't think that we're going to be able to represent ourselves well as Canadians. I think I would much rather, like, I don't know, it'd be like going to the Olympics, knowing that you'll, like, you'll lose in every event. Now, obviously, there's lots of countries that do that because representing your country in the Olympics is like a huge honor. But, you know, we're not talking about the Olympics here, guys. We're talking about 40K. So, personally, I would prefer not to fly to Europe just to, like, lose 6 games and come, like, 30th place because the Canadian team, like, because we didn't get any events in, right? So, that's just kind of my thoughts on it, I guess my raw thoughts. So, in a way, I'm sad. In a way, I'm relieved. And what I am doing, though, is I'm looking forward to next year. And what I want to do is make sure that that's true. Yeah, like people in Europe, like if you're in Germany, although Germany is a small country, the caliber of players in play within, like, say half the travel distance of like any Canadian event is like 10 times higher. What I will say though is that I want to use this time to prepare for 2021 so that when we do finally show up, we are like ready for it and we're gonna represent ourselves, you know. And who knows, like I actually think right now, given the state of the game, given the fact that most armies don't have codexes, given the fact that we're so far behind in the release schedule, given the fact that, like, you know, the release schedule is just delayed and delayed and delayed, and that the mission set is still fairly new and hasn't really been refined, I think I actually think in a year the game's gonna be in a much better place for us to go and play I think just in general the game will be in a better place. Well, I'm hoping anyways. Like, I think there'll be better missions. I think, you know, we'll have had chapter approved, so we'll have a balancing pass. We'll have more codexes, right? No, it's not that small. It's not that small, Brian. In fact, what is the population of Germany? Okay, so Germany has 83 million people, which is twice as many as Canada, basically, because I think we're at 38. So it's about twice as many people. But I guess at the end of the day, like, I feel like if we're gonna go, I want to make sure that we are representing ourselves well, right? And I just don't think we're gonna do that if we go this year. And I don't think the game's in a place right now where that experience is going to be as good as it could be. And so I'm not sad, to be honest, guys. I'd much rather focus on spending this year really honing our abilities, getting better, becoming better at the game. God, man, what did this guy do? What paint did this guy use? It's disgusting. So that's kind of I guess my thoughts on it. I don't know what you guys think. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I personally think that, like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't, honestly guys, if you're going to spend all that money, you want to go and you want to be able to feel like it was worth it. And ultimately, I think even if we could go, the hassle, the quarantine, it's not going to feel worth it. It's going to feel like we should have skipped out. So, here's to 2021, guys, and hopefully I'm still like playing Warhammer at that point. Like, obviously I don't see anything changing, but like a lot can change between now and then, right? Like, people come and go. I can imagine maybe some people that were interested in playing this year are not next year. I think by next year, and this is just my thoughts, and I don't know if I haven't brought it up to Chris, but I think by next year we should probably, like, you know, we obviously said we would take the same team to 2021, but I actually think for next year we should kind of do that whole process again. Maybe reselect the team. If that means that I'm not on the team, then so be it. You know, like, obviously we selected the team based on a certain criteria this year, and that's not to say because I think people on the team this year don't deserve to be on it. I just think that we should be taking, if I was in Chris's position, I'd want to take a fresh look at the team every year, see who's put in the hours, see who's really engaged, because it's been a, you know, we've obviously been playing Green Camera, we've been playing some scrim matches, and it's going to be a very different environment in a year, another year. Imagine another year of no events, another year of no whatever, right? I think the gap is going to grow. I think, you know, for the most part, the kind of cream will rise over the next year, and we'll see who's really serious about going to the WTC in the future. So, but so we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. Man, these things are gnarly. I've never seen paint like this. I think it's like enamel. This is the price I pay. Like, part of me is I saw Death Shroud Terminators are in stock on GW site. Part of me is just tempted to just order another box of 3 and then forget these ones. But I paid 20 bucks for these and Lord Festius, who's the plastic character. He was thankfully unpainted, so it was a good deal. And like, I don't really want to buy another $70 in Terminators just because I'll feel stupid if these become like off meta at some point and get nerfed, having spent so much money. So the cheap part of me is kind of happy that I only spent 20 bucks on my 13th and 14th and 15th Terminator. But yeah, it's gnarly, this paint. Anyone have any suggestions on what I should do? I'm currently working on I'm stripping some Death Guard, and I got Poxwalkers here. Which I'm basically, the only reason I'm doing this Death Guard is because I'm just avoiding trying to paint Poxwalkers because they're super annoying. But I should probably get back to them. I have I think I mentioned it on the Best Overall show, guys, on Thursday if you didn't catch it, but I'm actually going to be doing a game with the Play on Tabletop guys in about 3 weeks. So I have to get these Poxwalkers done. 3 of these Death Shroud, that's why I'm kind of bothering doing all this, otherwise I'd probably just order new ones. And 1 Possessed model from the list that I've currently written. I think I'm going to write, I can't decide if I should run Terminus S Assault Force for that game. But because I kind of want to run, oh my god, there's mold lines too, awful. It's like brutal. I'm so strict when it comes to like cleaning models, like I have to have every mold line clean since I have awful mold lines. So I can't decide what to take. I might take Terminus Est, I might take my normal jank. I think I'll probably take the list I'm running currently or something similar. I'll probably tailor a little bit because I can. And I don't want to lose on the Play on Tabletop, you know? It's like 100,000 people watching those videos. So, it'd be embarrassing. Make sure to follow the guys on Play on Tabletop too if you haven't. They're actually based out of BC, an hour from where I live. which sounds like a long way, but in Canada, an hour is like your neighbor. Okay, I'm gonna throw these back in the stripper. Need a little bit more time. I'm playing Gary Sacco, buds. Fortunately. Unfortunately or fortunately. So, I'll definitely have the advantage in army look. Yeah, cheater Gary Sacco. He's playing Dark Angels, and it was funny because one of the Play on Tabletop guys, we were in the little group chat, they're like, Gary, I haven't seen your Dark Angels army. Like, what does it look like? And I was like, just imagine what primed models look like, because that's basically Gary. Runs around the prime models. So there's my little quip. I don't know if you appreciated it, but he always shows up with like black models. Alright, so where are we? Let's see here. Oh, sorry guys. Yeah, Gary's king of 3-color minimum. Man, these poxwalkers suck. I painted my first 20, I painted in this like crazy way that I like totally forgot how I did it. So these ones are like totally different. Yeah, fuck that. I mean, if he wants to pay me, but there's no way I'm gonna get it done in time. I gotta finish these poxwalkers. I have a Karn to finish. I have a Dark Angels commission that's coming in. I'm just waiting for a few more things to arrive. I have a Tau commission on the desk. That is potential. I have a Death Guard, another Death Guard commission I'm waiting to arrive for the models to arrive. So unless he wants to pay me copious amounts of money, there's zero chance I'm going to be painting anything for Gary. But yeah, so that's yeah, those are my thoughts on the WTC. So I want to talk. I played my game against Team Poland Scrim on Saturday morning. That was yesterday. So that was a really interesting game. I think the matchup was a good matchup for me, and I think I could have actually tied the game. I just made a few mistakes, to be honest. Like, it shows. You know, there's sometimes where you lose games where you're like, I don't think I made strategic mistakes, if that makes sense. I made tactical mistakes. So let me just explain the difference. So strategic mistake would maybe be like my overall game plan. Like how I thought I could win the game. I think I did that. I think I did that well. And basically, my plan was to play pretty cagey turn 1, wait for his stuff to come down, and then basically keep it a pretty close game. But then two things happened that like kind of had pretty big swings on the game. The first was, well, first of all, let me preface this by saying that Poland is the most winningest team in the WTC. So they are a very, very high level team, and all their players are very high level. So we were playing their WTC team. So this was not like random scrubs that are just happen to live in Poland. This is actually the Team Poland WTC team, and the game was going pretty well. I think I played my first turn perfectly. Like I just played KG. The one thing that kind of fucked me though is I needed my Poxwalkers to advance. Like I needed a 4 on one of 2 dice to advance Poxwalkers onto an objective, and I didn't get it, which sucked. So that was unfortunate. But I mean, what are you gonna do, right? And had that happened, I would have gotten maybe like a, I don't know. And then on the final turn, basically I had a decision to make. I could have either charged just an Inquisitor or charge the yeah, man. Sisters are okay. So the other thing is, this is the only second time I've played Sisters. I played, and the first time being literally like the night before, a practice game against our coach Cody Brown. So like it's not exactly like I've played Sisters a lot. In fact, I hadn't played Sisters. The Miracle Dice, like especially when there's like they just able to get so many of them, it just like fucks the math so much in the game, and it makes it so like everything you want to do fails because like they always make their saves that are clutch. They always make their charges, and then everything that they want to do succeeds, right? So it just makes the game like, it just pushes the math into a place where like it removes a lot of like the risk factor. Like 40k is all about risk mitigation, and the Miracle Dice just make it to the point where like it's almost impossible to like fail stuff if you have the right Miracle Dice. Okay, dude. I don't know who you are, but sure, we'll definitely play some games. I don't know who Forge Master Flex is. Ah. Hey, man. How's it going? I don't know you still played 40k. I know, I thought you were playing AOS. I feel like you've been all over. Anyways, oh, you can't play at Hammer Time? That's okay. I never played at Hammer Time anyways. I don't like North Van. What else? Oh yeah, so in my sister's games, there's like a few decision points where I made the wrong decision. And then there's a few times where I thought, like, I don't know, I kind of hate TTS for a reason, which is like, it makes line of sight almost like too perfect. Like, you can draw these like laser lines between stuff, and there's no like, I don't know, there's no like nuance in like line of sight blocking, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. But I just hate the line of sight rules in general. I think he should be able to see like I don't know, there needs to be some rule where like you can't just see like literally a sliver of something and you can see it. It should be some part of the model or some percentage of the model. Now I don't know what that would look like, but, and I don't know if that would even be possible, but I just hate how like if I can see like literally like the tip of like a spear over through like 17 ruins and models, I can basically just destroy your whole model, you know? I just think it's dumb. Not a big fan. Oh. Oh man, I'm tired. I have not been sleeping well. I'll tell you that. I got up today, even though it is a Sunday, at like 5 in the morning, just to see that WTC was cancelled, which is great to wake up to. And then I went back to bed, and then I got up, and then I went back to bed, and then I got up. So, but yeah, I'm oh yeah, so a few other things. So Sisters game was really good. Our match against Poland, we just got basically rolled. Like I think almost everyone's lost their games against the Polish team in the WTC. Maybe one person's won. So that was good. But it's really, you know, the one thing I will say about TTS is it allows us to play a team like Poland, who doesn't, like, they aren't here, right? So I do really appreciate that TTS exists for that reason, because I feel like it gives us something that we otherwise would not have, and I do really like that about it. And then the other thing that I really like with TTS is it allows like us, like especially me being in Vancouver, and my team Canada being mostly in the East to play practice, which when otherwise would be impossible. So I can play like matches against my team. They can play lists that maybe armies that none of us own. We can iterate on lists really quickly. So if we want to try out lists design, it allows us to do list design really quickly. So that's where I think the strength of TTS is. As an actual gaming experience, I don't think it's great. I think it's an awful. The interface sucks. The actual games themselves are not great. But as a trading tool, it is a tool to like help you kind of learn about 40K. I actually think it's really good. It can definitely like teach you some good habits as well. You can play games. What's sick mechanics? What are you talking about? So I played to give you an example, like I played a game of TTS last week on Saturday or Friday night, and then I played a real game in the morning. And it's like, I find that because I'm not so, I don't know, there's something about moving in TTS that makes it tedious, and checking measurements that I find tedious over the computer. And I know that sounds kind of backwards. You're like, well, Jim, you don't have to actually do any work. Why would that be tedious? Well, I don't know. There's something about TTS that I find, because just moving basic models is so hard, like especially into very, if you're being like kind of, if you're being like trying to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Wow, why can't I think of the word? Accurate? No, precise. If you're trying to be precise with moving your models in TTS, it's a fucking pain in the ass. Because sometimes it takes like 3 or 4 attempts to get a model. Yeah. Yeah, precise is what I was trying to say. So I agree with you, Tom. What I was trying to say is like, in real life, I can move, I'm much more, it's much easier to move models and to adjust them quickly to be precise and to be like clean. In TTS, I literally like grab my 20 poxwalkers and I like shake up the thing and I like shove them over. And then sometimes it's like, oh, I'm trying to get up to a point, so I'm just doing things. It's just really arduous to like do things well and very like precisely. And so I found what I'm finding in TTS. The other thing too is things like having yeah. The other thing is like things like having like a 6-inch aura bubble digitally. Like it's really convenient, but it actually leads to like really bad habits in tabletop, because like I found myself like not checking my aura ranges as much on tabletop because I was like, yeah, that's 6 inches. But like in TTS, I literally have like glowing circles around my models. So I actually think it's like bad. It's bad practice for real life, right? So like you are used to these things like these 6-inch bubbles, and I think when you play too much TTS, it actually makes you bad at like tabletop, because a lot of the good habits like checking ranges, checking distances, checking coherency constantly that you might do in tabletop, that's like too difficult or too annoying to do in TTS. Sorry, so you stop doing them and you just rely on like the computer basically. I find like that comes back to bite you in the ass. Sick mind games? Do you think in real life you can do sick mind games, or in TTS you can do sick mind games? Yeah. The one thing I will say though, like against my polling game, like if we were playing on a clock, he would have clocked out. So the fact that like in TTS, one of the annoying things is people like yes, there's tools to like measure things and check line of sights and stuff, but it's like to a level that's like extreme, and it's something that actually slows the game down so much. And like in my polling game, like I think his turn 2 movement phase took like 45 minutes because he was like pre-measuring. He was like cloning models to put them in places before they were actually down. So he had 2 sets of models, right? Like he had, when do I play Co? Is that England? Is that the England guy I'm playing? The guy on Team England? I don't know who Co is. I'll tell you when I'm playing Team England, my match. I'll tell you right now. Coho, yeah, that is England guy. Okay, so I'm playing noon Pacific Standard Time, so it's 1900 your time, I think, Tom, on Saturday next week. So I'll throw the event. I'm gonna stream that game. I'll throw it up in my my Twitch schedule. But yeah, so it's 12 o'clock noon Pacific, 1900 GMT. Did you guys just do daylight savings? Yeah. I feel like I was just talking to Steve Joel, who's in New Zealand, and like he just did daylight. I think they just did daylight savings, and I was very confused because I thought daylight savings was the same time across. Sorry, I thought everyone did their daylight savings on the same day, but I think that might not be true. Like some days change their time at different days, which is really confusing as well. Fucking daylight savings, man. It's the most annoying thing ever. You can't. And the thing is, like, not only that can you not do it, but like consistently, like here's the thing. First of all, I'll tell you from my experience, and this is just me being real with you. All of Team Canada, like whenever we're watching the games, we'll watch the games, and if the only time we generally say something to each other, like say I'm playing, and I'm watching Tim play a game, and I see something that's a mistake in his game, I'll say, hey, I'll say like, hey, by the way, he can't use that stratagem there, and I'll message Tim in our like group chat. I'll say he can't use that stratagem there. So we don't coach each other, but if there is a misplay or an incorrect play, we'll make sure that the player that is playing knows, and then we leave it up to them to say something. We definitely don't coach. We definitely don't give people advice, because what's the point of that as a practice? That's not good practice for you if people are just telling you what to do. So we want the players to the players who are playing to play the game and to learn and make their mistakes, and let them have that thought process, especially for TTS practice, right? This isn't for money. This isn't a tournament. This is just like for fun. And the goal of this is to get the players to be better, to improve. It's not to win, right? We always say, you know, our goal is to learn, not to win. So from that perspective, there's no coaching happening on our end. What I do know that does happen is that if we see things that are misplays or incorrect or rules mistakes, then we'll call that out in our our team chat. And then if our coach is watching the game, sometimes he might bring it up, or we'll let the player that's playing bring it up if he thinks it's an issue. But we never coach advice, right? We never say, hey, like, you should do this or you should do that. So there's nothing to prevent that, to be honest. Sometimes I ask rules questions. So like if I have a rules question about one of their units, I might ask my team like, hey, what's the like how does this unit work, or what should I be watching out for? So I might ask questions like that of like our own team, just to see kind of for that, and they might give me some, and that's usually before the matches, but even during a match, like, or sometimes I'll ask a question. I'll say, hey, can you do that? Like, is that legit? Because maybe there's something happening that's like a little bit sketchy. But I've never been coached, and I wouldn't want that anyways. I wanna kind of win or lose based on my own ability, and I also want to make mistakes, and I want to learn from my mistakes. I don't want to play a game, because guess what? When we actually play in an event, there's no one there to tell you. So you don't want to be in a situation where you're leaning on a crutch like that. You're not gonna actually. It's not actually. You're just wasting your time at that point. Like, you shouldn't even be playing if you're gonna be. So yeah, Brandon. Some of the judges will watch the streams. Yeah, some of the judges will watch the streams, and sometimes they will pipe up. But honestly, like, I still think the only people that's watching the games that should say anything are either the coaches, the judges, or the players that are playing, unless a question is asked. So sometimes the players might ask the general chat and say, hey, does anyone know X? Does anyone know this? In those cases, I think it's okay for someone that does know the rule to say something. But I don't think it's okay for like players watching the game that aren't playing the game to say, to interject, right? If there's a judge there, a coach there, unless they see something that's like blatant cheating, right? But I don't want, yeah, I just don't want that kind of, I don't want that kind of intervention. And the thing is, like, look, does that mean that sometimes players will make mistakes? Yes. But I just think it's a slippery slope of allowing non-coach players, non-coach players or non-judges to be watching games and to interject comments or thoughts into the game, even if 60% of the time it results in catching someone from doing a mistake. At this level, at like this practice level, I'd much prefer the players play and, you know, it be brought up, as I mentioned, kind of on a side channel, just like, hey, like, just so you know, that's not how that stratagem works. And again, that's where I think that's where we just use our team chat, where we're just like, hey, that's like, he can't, like, so, and it's for good or bad, right? Like, the other day, Tim, who's our Eldar player, was playing the Aussie German player, and there's a stratagem. Sorry, there's not. So he didn't realize that. I'm gonna get triggered here because I fucking hate. I hate chaos. How they gate chaos rules behind stupid shit. But chaos, Death Guard Legion trait, inexorable advance. It applies to bubonic Astartes. But guess which vehicles? So and the keyword, it allows your vehicles that are in combat ignore the -1 to shoot into combat that they're involved in, and it applies to bubonic Astartes vehicles. So people just assume that things like demon engines are bubonic Astartes, but fucking demon engines, Plagueburst crawlers do not have bubonic Astartes keyword, which means they don't get the fucking Legion trait. Just so stupid, right? So. But they didn't know that. They didn't realize that, like, you'd think that, like, fucking Plagueburst crawlers and demon engines would have inexorable advance, which is the fucking Death Guard Legion trait. But no, they don't. So they were playing a game, and our coach actually said, hey, you ignore the -1. And then I said, no, actually, you're wrong. Like, you don't get that because fucking Plagueburst crawlers are not, they're not bubonic Astartes for some reason, which is the dumbest thing. In fact, the only vehicles in the entire Death Guard book that get that trait are Hellbrutes and Land Raiders, which are the two least used, most useless fucking vehicles in that book. So it just pisses me off. Like, I'm just like, why, guys? Like, why have a Legion trait for vehicles specifically, and then have like a Legion that's like very vehicles heavy, and give it to fucking 2 of like 10 vehicles? Like, it's so dumb. Point me to one Space Marine rule that's that like exclusive. It just doesn't exist, right? Like, if Space Marines get it, they just all get it. There's not like some get it, some don't, you know? So I could go on about that. I think it's the dumbest ass shit. Another stupid example, just like that, is so Poxwalkers. Yeah, they're good, but like they can't score any secondaries except their ones, like specific ones. But like, name me one other troop choice in the game that can't score secondaries. And like the background reason is that they're zombies. Okay, so Termagants. So you're telling me like Termagants, fucking wolves, fucking like there's so many fucking weird creatures and shit. Like, how is it that like you guys will let crew dogs and shit score objectives, secondaries, and fucking thunderwolves, but my zombies can't? Like, why? Just because? Because fluff reasons? Like, go fuck yourselves, GW. Doesn't even make sense, man. Their rules writing is so inconsistent, especially when it comes to chaos. I fucking hate it. What are gray areas, Tom? I don't, is that just like weird rules writing, where like it makes no sense? God, I fucking hate Poxwalkers. Why do they gotta be good? I spent 20 minutes whining about Poxwalkers as I'm painting 30 more. God damn it. Yeah, well, I know you're on the Typhus can't be included in any army crusade, so I just think that's like this is the stupidest thing. Like I think we all agree that the intention is that he can be in an army, but like rules is written. Yeah, it's so stupid. And like the thing is, I don't know. Like here's the thing, I don't know like how GW decides which questions to ask or answer in their FAQs. Like, I don't know if like you're sending in these things into GW FAQs, but like I don't think these are like it's one thing to answer a stupid question. It's another thing to just like not answer the question, right? So like I bet you someone's asked some of these questions. Yeah, but I'm saying like someone's got to ask these questions. And it's just like they go to publish the fact and they're just like, no, we're not going to answer that. It seems really important and it's like game breaking, but you know, we just don't think we're going to answer it. Because I don't believe for 1 second that they don't know that those questions are out there, right? It doesn't make sense to me, right? Right, but that's my point though, because like they're so bad at writing rules in the sense that like, and I also think, and this I remember this from Adepticon. The year 2 years ago, not Adepticon, sorry, Nova, when Robin Crudis came. He came to watch. He's at Nova, and it was like the Invitational, I think, and this was before when you could deep strike on a building 9 inches away and then do like a 1-inch charge, right? Which rules written was what you were allowed to do. And I remember him like watching that happen, and like this realization going off in his head that like, yeah, when you write a rule that says you ignore vertical distance, that's what players will do. And like, it just made me think that the guys that write these rules that actually work for GW, they like literally don't play the game at the same level or even close to the actual people that are competing. And I think we all knew that. That's not a surprise. But I guess my point is, it's like they're just like, they're so far removed by like from like, I know they don't, but I guess my point is like they're so far removed from any level of even competent play. They're not even playing at like low level competitive play. They're literally playing beer garage hammer at fucking Warhammer World, the Bugmans, and they just have no sense of like how people read rules. It's like, and then when you tell them that this is what it says, they gaslight you and make you sound like you're tripping or you're a power gamer, or I can't believe you read it that way, or it doesn't need answering because it's super obvious to everyone and no one plays it that way. And it's like, no, dude, that's what it says, and that's how we're going to interpret it, because as we saw, and here's the big fuck you, as we saw from the Death Guard FAQ that they just put out, they do actually make distinctions between things like characteristics and value, right? So a lot of players used to say, when you look at that Death Guard situation with like the fact that it's -2 to your movement distance, and they'd say, well, Death Guard says value. A lot of players would say, you know what? They mean the same thing. Otherwise, like, it's not a big deal, right? Or GW. Sorry guys, I think I just lost. Did I just lose you guys? Am I back? My OBS disconnected for some reason. Just never happened. Let me know if that's back. Just never happened. Anyways, hopefully you guys are still there. Give me a sign, chat, if you're still there. Okay, sweet. I don't know why my OBS is being weird. Yeah, okay, so I'm fucking pissed about it, because on one hand, Games Workshop says, guys, don't rules lawyer the rules, because we play by like intention and like, you know, beer hammer kind of level of
play. Like, you guys are overthinking it. You're rules lawyering. You're reading things too literally. Like, obviously the intent was clear. GW says on one hand, and then on the other hand they say, no, when we say things like value and distance and movement, and we use very specific language, even though it reads like intent, the rules as written are actually more important. And so you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. Either be cleaner on your rules writing and say rules as written always wins, or release more FAQs to explain intent. If there's intent, if there's anywhere where there's a gray area, you guys need to be fucking on top of it and release FAQs. And here's the thing, people always say like, FAQs, it's not an errata, it's an answer to a question that was just unclear, but their intent was always the same. So like people were up in arms about this fucking Death Guard change. They're saying, oh, GW changed the rules. And then you have all these fucking dickwads on one hand saying, oh no, the rules was that was always the rule. GW is just making sure that they're clear about it. But no, colloquially, and like if you ask the community at large, community, they did not think that that was the rule. I didn't play it that way. A lot of players didn't play it that way because we just don't read it that way. Now, because we again thought that GW meant something that they didn't, right? Which is on us. It's our bad. But GW just they seem to like want it both ways, right? They don't want to write clear rules. They want to make you gaslight you when you read into a rule as written by saying that you're power gaming. And then when you ask for clarification, they say, well, how could you ask for clarification? Isn't it clear what we meant? Well, no, you fucking nimnuts. Like, it's not clear. Otherwise, we wouldn't be asking you for clarification. And then when you're wrong on the clarification, they say, oh, well, you should have just read it as written, and it would have been clear. Anyways, that's my rant. Fucking GW. And here I am fucking painting 30 more Poxwalkers because I love the game. So don't get me wrong, I still love the game. I don't know. I look at something like, I don't think it'd be that hard to like sit down. Like, I bet you could take Neil, take like, I don't know, like, you could take like the WTC, one of the WTC judges, one of the judges from, say, North America, like the top judges, and like one other person from fucking the Africa circuit or Australia or whatever, sit them down, give them 3 weeks to reach out to their communities to come up with a list of FAQs and clarifications and whatever. And I bet you they could sit down and in 3 weeks come up with, yeah, whatever, man. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to be inclusive, all right? But I'm going to be taking the Africa circuit. I can't wait for the Congo GT. But I bet you could take a WTC judge, you know, a few of the ITC judges from North America, maybe some of the guys from the Australian circuit, put them in a room in 3 weeks with their communities. They could probably come up with a comprehensive fucking fact list that answers every one of these dumbass fucking rules and shit, and give it to GW and say, hey, fix all this shit, update it in your next FAQ, put all this stuff in there, and it solves 99.9% of all the problems in the game. Now the only thing that's left is like new things as they prop up, right? Why don't they and I bet you those guys would do it for free. Not that I think they should. GW's a fucking $3 billion euro company, not dollars. Probably bigger, more than that in dollars. They should be paying people. They should have professional copywriters, professional rules team that actually goes through, and that's their full-time job, is to keep to keep the rules cohesive and clear. But of course, we can't have nice things. So yeah, Lumineth's book isn't even out yet technically, and I'm already hearing fucking people bitch about it. And I don't even play AOS. And I already know. I know Lumineth is broken already. Apparently, that's how much chatter there is and complaints there are already on the internet for someone that doesn't even consume AOS content. For me to know that, it's like it's just hilarious. So I'm curious to see how it affects the overall. Yeah, honestly, dude, that's the one thing that stopping me. I actually wouldn't mind if 40k went Like, I know they'll never do this, or if they do, it'll be like 13th edition. But I actually think AOS going to, or any of the main games going to like a alternating activation, I think could actually end up being a much better game. Like if they move 40k to an alternating activation game, I think that makes it probably a very different game. Probably takes a lot longer, and I don't think they'll ever do it because I think the I Go You Go is like very classic. It's like this. It's not just a game mechanic; it's the type of game it is. So just like you wouldn't describe chess as an RPG, right? Um, because it's like it's a specific genre of game and it's a style of game. In that sense, the I Go You Go is kind of intrinsic to the style of game that 40k is. Yeah, I heard. I haven't played AOS, but I mean, I love the models and I love the setting, or I love the like fantasy. Obviously, I've always been more of a swords and sorcery guy than a fucking like laser beams and robots guy. But I just the other thing too is like in Vancouver, anyways, where I live, there is no AOS scene. I mean, there's barely a 40k scene to be honest, competitively, and there's even less of an AOS scene. So, or maybe there is, and I just don't know about it. Anyways, I'm like literally like hoarse in the my throat from like yelling at GW. So. God damn it, Games Workshop. I'm so mad now. Like I'm all fired up. I can't even focus on these fucking poxwalkers. I just want to smash them with my hammer. Every edition, I always have to paint way too many of one dumbass unit because it's good. Cultists and Plague Bearers in fucking 8th. Poxwalkers are gonna be my thing in 9th. It's just like fuck. Can we just have one edition where like I don't have to paint some bullshit fucking infantry unit? I thought like 100 of them to play competitively. Yeah, I just a lot of the like the detachment and like the deployment mechanics for AOS I really don't like either. And the lack of like terrain, like from all I hear, the terrain is kind of useless too. So I'm not actually even sure. Like maybe I just need to watch a game of AOS, like high level AOS, but I'm not actually even sure like what the strategy is. I guess for me it seems like it's very much about list building rock paper scissors versus like actually outplaying your opponent, because it seems to me like because there's so few units and terrain is so meaningless and movement is like I don't know. It just seems like the type of like shenanigans, movement shenanigans, and even in 9th edition, I think 8th edition obviously had a lot more of it. That I used to pull in 8th edition was a lot more like is a lot more like nuance, I guess, in playing 8th edition. Sorry, in playing 40k than it is in playing AOS. But yeah, I don't know. Fucking poxwalkers. These models, like, you know what's annoying about them? It's not even so much that I have to paint so many. It's that, like, I have 30 models here and there's 10 different sculpts. And each sculpt is, like, completely different. It's like, and there's, like, different tentacles and there's different fucking pustules and, like, the skin texture is different. It's just, like, there's just so much shit to paint on them. It's fucking annoying. I'll fire it up now. Fucking GW. Just letting all my internet rage out. I do really hope though, like I know the guys on Honest Wargamer today when they're talking about like the rule set. There's quite a bit of discussion around like 20-0 rule set and like the interview with Reese where he basically said that like GW said they couldn't develop their own reset. So I'm really curious if how deep that goes. And so what I mean by that is they made it pretty clear that like they don't want the ITC developing their own missions and their own FAQ. But I'm curious if that extends to things like just developing, like just scoring their tournaments in a different way. So like for instance, say all the tournaments use the basic missions, right? And they don't create the FAQ, and you still get your tournament score. But then like for the purposes of actually scoring the tournament, if they convert that to the 20-0 system, like does that break their little like rule, right? Like did GW say you can't even score your tournament in a different way? Or did they just say you can't have separate missions in FAQ? Because those are two very different things, right? Like you can run the same missions and the GW missions and then just convert it to a 20-0 score. And like I would argue that that's not technically scoring it different. That's just like I guess weighting your tournament results different than like the that basic. Why wouldn't he be allowed at Warhammer World? I don't think he's actually banned, is he? That seems kind of extreme. I wonder. I'm gonna interview him for best overall show at one point, I hope. And I'm gonna talk to him because I know he's always the interviewer, so I'm gonna interview him, and maybe I'll ask him if he's banned from Warhammer World and why. But I'm sure Tom knows. That seems kind of crazy to me. I didn't think GW was like that, like vindictive, that they like actually ban people from like physically entering Warhammer World. I assume they don't want them like fucking streaming and shit from there, but like to physically ban someone seems a little extreme. So, what else? Am I mad about anything else right now? No, not really. I don't think I need to rant. My blood pressure is already high right now. So I don't think I need to rant anymore. I just want these poxwalkers done. I don't think I'm gonna... I have so much painting to do, it's fucked. I'm just trying to get these... Here's the thing though, the nice thing. Once these poxwalkers are done, I basically have 4 possessed and 3 death shroud to do. And I'm basically done my death guard, like done. Like I'll have enough painted where, unless I just want to add just more poxwalkers, which I could end up doing, but like to bring it up, like I'll have 50 poxwalkers painted, which is probably a little bit low, like maybe another 20 painted after. But for the most part, it'll be done, my army. I don't think I really want to run an army with more than 50 at the moment. Yeah, to be fair though, I mean, I can't speak for Rob, but like, yeah, I mean, GW is a private company in some sense, so like they can do whatever they want, I guess, and Rob can do whatever he wants, and like I'm sure he prefers the freedom to like not worry about like what he says or what he does over like being in GW's good graces for some like fucking bullshit reason, Like I'd much rather be in Rob's position in the sense that like I actually really appreciate that like he doesn't have sponsorships because it just allows him to like be totally independent, and I think that's really important, and that's like why I support the show and stuff, is because I think the ability to be independent is, especially these days with like sponsorships and like just there's so many people like I'm not doing this channel because like I make good money in my normal job. I'm not doing this channel because I'm trying to get some sort of monetary thing or because I want it to be my job. I'm simply doing this channel because I just want an outlet to scream about Games Workshop and like have my opinion heard and like talk about hobby and connect with the community and share hobby tips. Like it's very like altruistic in the sense where like it's more it's like for my own satisfaction and my own joy rather than it is for like any sort of like end goal here. I'm not like trying to like be a full-time streamer or like make money off it or anything like that. So like in that sense, like I feel that same level of freedom that Rob does. There's like I can swear, I can say GW's a piece of shit, I can say that they're the greatest company in the world, and I don't really care, right? Because this isn't some I'm not trying to get to the point where like they send me shit every month and I get to review it early. Like I'm never gonna do content like that. That's just not something that I'm interested in. Maybe OnlyFans, but it's not gonna have yeah. So I guess my point is like I'm not doing this channel for some goal other than like my own outlet, just to like share my thoughts and my brain and like spit out my shit and obviously have conversations with people because we're in COVID and I don't have many outlets right now and I don't have a lot of places to talk Warhammer or to kind of brew, I guess. But I'd imagine if you were one of those channels that had to like keep a certain image or wanted to stay in GW's good graces so that you get those sponsorships, you get those free codexes, army boxes, previews, all that shit, like, and you guys know who they are, right? All the channels that get preview copies, all the channels that get box sets sent to them early, all the channels that get like models sent to them so that they can paint them, all the painters. Do you think they have the ability to speak their minds when it comes to bad business practices or bad rules writing or anything like that GW does? No. They probably they signed probably really strict NDAs, and then on top of that, they probably have to live in this world where they are constantly having to censor themselves, so that they can kind of keep getting free shit. And I personally think that's like a really like I don't know, like hey, to each their own. Whatever makes I don't judge you for that, but it's not a way that I would want to live because I want to be able to say what I want to who I want, not ever feel like I have to hold my opinion back because I'm worried about like I hate money in politics and I hate money in wargaming in that sense too, right? Like I don't want the giant wargaming lobby of I don't want big plastic, the plastic and the miniature industrial complex influencing it's the same thing like when you see the news, right? When you guys watch the news every night and you see a fucking newscaster go on and say how bombing fucking Yemen is good and how Medicare for all is too expensive and how all this kind of shit. Do you know why and how and they never call out the big corporations? Because they never call out the pharmaceutical companies that are profiting off death. It's because the pharmaceutical companies run ads on those stations 24/7. So if you watch a fucking CNN or an MSNBC or any of those guys, those anchors make multi-million-dollar salaries, and they can't ever be honest about shit that's happening because they don't want to upset their advertisers. They don't want to upset their donors. They don't want to upset their big corporate interests. So in that same vein, some of these channels are in that exact same position, but just with wargaming, they cannot speak when GW fucking lays a fucking turd. They can't say that because they got to protect their interests, and I don't blame them for that, right? Like if it's your livelihood to like, if it's your livelihood to like to make content for Warhammer and or for GW or anything, and in order to maintain that like and maintaining that relationship is going to create a net positive so that you can put dinner on the table, so that you can pay your bills. Hey dude, God bless, all the power to you. I'm just saying that's not my way. I'd much rather personally have my freedom to say whatever the fuck I want, to say GW is the best games company in the world, which I believe, and also say that they're poorly mismanaged and don't know how to write rules. I can hold both those ideas in my head, right? And I don't think that's like a contradictory position, right? But you'll never hear someone on those channels that get free shit from GW call it how it is, right? They'll give you very, very vanilla, watered down opinions, and when they are critical, it's gonna be the fucking compliment sandwich bullshit. Like, I literally, I'm an executive in our company, and I literally get told to give compliment sandwiches. So you say one nice thing, then you give the feedback, and then you follow up with another nice thing, right? And the idea is that like you're padding like some feedback with some like nice stuff. But I just think that's bullshit. Like if someone does a shitty, hey JB man, how's it going? Thanks man. Thanks for the follow. Kalini, thanks for the follow. If someone's doing a shitty job, I want to be able to say that they're doing a shitty job, right? Lano the Archmagi, thanks for following, man. I appreciate it. Jack of Clubs Painting, welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining in. I'm just having my general rant about GW right now. So I just think that content creators, we have, I think a bigger, you know who I'm loyal to is the gamers and the community. Like that's the people that I watch out for. I don't watch out for a €4 billion company called Games Workshop. I'm not here to fucking carry water for them. So for me, from my perspective, the most important thing is that the people that we go to for content are able to be straight up honest and uncensored, and to not let corporate interests or their need for like preview copies or anything like that go ahead. And I think it's Midwinter Minis is a YouTube channel. Let me just say, he actually was in a very similar position where he had a non-disclosure agreement with GW, and basically he canceled it because he was like, I found myself not being able to be honest about oh hey man, hey Wyatt, how's it going man? He found that he couldn't be honest about like what he was saying on his channel, and I think that's complete bullshit. Like, you know, and so he ended up actually terminating his NDA with GW, which I think takes a lot of guts, because guess what, as a hobbyist, as someone that creates content, it's nice to get free shit ahead of time, right? Who doesn't want a preview copy of the codexes? Who doesn't want to get, you know, I'm buddies with Scary, obviously, because he does Ridvin. It doesn't matter, man. I'm just trying to build both channels. So put one in one browser and one in the other. So if it makes a difference, I'll get views from both. Just make sure to subscribe to both. I'm going to continue to grow both channels and see where it goes. But like Ridvin, for instance, he gets preview copies of books. You know, he gets box sets. He got like what was the fucking shitty ass box set with the Necrons and the Heavy Intercessor they just released? He got a set of that, right? And I bet you he's, you know, and you know, I haven't asked him directly. I haven't been like, hey Ridvin, what do you really think? But like, I know on his shows, he's got there's a filter there, right? And I just think it's really wrong. I think, you know, we're not GW's PR company. We're not, like, the fucked up thing to me is, and this is and maybe I'm getting all over with this. To give you guys an anecdote, in my, like, so I run restaurants, and one of the big marketing things that we do is like influencer marketing. So what does that mean? It means you find Instagram influencers that are in Vancouver, that are foodies, that are food bloggers, that are like people in the food scene, in the vegan community, because my restaurants are vegan, and we reach out to them and we basically say, hey, we'll pay for your dinner, and you come in and post about our food and say it's good and etc etc. So that's a real thing that like my company does. Like I don't do it because I'm not marketing, and that's a legit marketing strategy, right? But the way I see it, what we're taking in, yeah, man, I hear you. And you know what? Why I actually do appreciate, one of the things I appreciate and why I like listening to Long War is because like you guys always are like, I know fucking Rob still, I feel like Rob still gets shit from GW, but one of the things I do like about the Long War is like you guys are always usually straight up. Like Kenny, yourself, you guys never like hold back your opinions, right? Like if GW shits the bed, you guys say it how it is, and I appreciate that, because a lot of like shows don't fucking do that, right? They you know, they try to sugarcoat shit, or they say, you know, it's not so bad, and yeah. Anyway, so this like whole influencer marketing thing, it's like a real thing in real life, and I hate it in real life. Like, even though we do it as a company, and we do it, why? Because it's effective, right? We don't do it because we think it's a sorry. Who's blacklisted? Why is that Kenny, or is that Rob? Oh, I didn't realize that. So how does he get models? He's always doing like box openings and shit. I'm curious. Anyways, but I mean, I love your guys' show. I can't fuck with spiky bits though. Like, there's a special place in hell for spiky bits. That's all. I can talk a whole episode on what's like what's a bigger cesspool of the internet, spiky bits or Bell of Lost Souls. But you know, nothing to do with Rob himself. I have nothing but love for him. But obviously, I hate spiky bits. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I don't mind independent characters, but I see JB, the thing I disagree with you. So JB saying that he likes the pro-positive spin. There shouldn't have to be spin, right? I don't want spin. I want straight answers. I want straight opinions. I want the blunt truth, the straight truth. Oh wow, we got all these people watching. Hey, what's up, dudes? Yeah, so I want the straight truth from people. I don't want Games Workshop to or content creators to put any spin on it. I want to hear their full like opinions and their truth and stuff like that. And like that's the thing that really bothers me, is that like we just don't get that, right? A lot of these content creators are so reliant on like getting the handouts from Games Workshop. So I just don't love it. So that's my thought. But thanks for the raid, Jack, Wyatt. I appreciate it. But I gotta chat with you guys more, because I feel like I want to hear the dark history of the like yeah, I want to hear all the dark history of like how Rob got blacklisted, and like how Kenny probably got blacklisted. I don't know, Haspel's probably blacklisted too. But like I'd love to just like fucking either over a beer just to hear that drama, because like it just reminds me of every fucked up corporate. It's not even about gossip though. It's just about like exposing the like complete hypocrisy and kind of corporate malfeasance that like these big companies can do, because there is no other option, right? Like I'll give you a really good example, and for those of you that are like gamers, like I don't know if you guys are paying attention to like the current video card shortage that's happening, but like some of the big like AMD and Nvidia, they're like the two main players when it comes to video cards. So like they are they're the only game in town, right? Your video card is either AMD or Nvidia, or it's either AMD or it's Nvidia, and they obviously work with a lot of partners, content creators, and where they give them cards, reference cards, they give them advanced copies for reviews, and those reviewers get threatened that by those big companies to post positive reviews, and there's actually a big incident with Nvidia like about a month ago, where basically one of the reviewers was like, well, this is a bad card, don't buy this, and Nvidia basically like threatened them. And we're talking, you know, GW is small fry compared to Nvidia. We're talking, you know, companies with market valuations of in the hundreds of millions, of billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars. I think Nvidia is like multi-billions of dollars, and it's like these companies are using their strength and their weight to push around people, and I think that's totally bullshit. And GW does the same, and it's a problem. It's a problem that there's a reason that we have monopoly protections and antitrust in both the US and Canada and a lot of other places. It's because I didn't even know you work for GW, man. There's a reason we have antitrust in a lot of places. It's because to stop companies like Games Workshop getting too big, and then being able to kind of manipulate the market and like monopolize the market. But essentially for what we're doing, which is wargaming, it is a monopoly, right? GW has a monopoly on this industry in a sense, right? It's not like we can go and get our Warhammer miniatures from anywhere else. You're talking a $6 billion US company with full monopoly of their market, and because it's wargaming, like, no one gives a shit. So I have lots of issues with it, but that's neither here nor there. So. Well, I don't think they have a monopoly in the sense that, like, I just think they have their ecosystem is so big that it's really hard to, like, get out of their ecosystem. Do you know what I'm saying? Once you're in the ecosystem, it's, like, almost impossible to escape. Yeah, but like, look, name me one miniature company, like, that is as even close to GW in, like, popularity. Like, what would be the second? So if we're talking about miniatures, what would be the company that you'd say, like, is the next competitor to GW? Like, what would that be, right? I can't even think of it. Privateer Press has been destroyed over the last few years. You know, 5 years ago, I would have said Privateer Press. Like, before 8th edition 40k, Privateer Press was, like, on the rise, and then they fucked it up. FFG, I agree, but, like, they don't directly compete with GW in the sense, like, that they're making, like, this. That's FFG, and now it's they've actually transferred X-Wing to another one of their. It just got moved out of FFG to, like, one of their subsidiaries. Anyways, you guys might be right, but there's a reason. I guess my point is, JB and everyone else, there's a reason that, like, here's the thing, you know, looking at, if I don't like Coke, I can go to Pepsi and it's almost indistinguishable. If I don't like Nvidia, I can get an AMD card and it's indistinguishable. If I don't like Chrome, I can use Firefox, almost indistinguishable. If I don't like GW, there's no thing that I can, like, switch to that's gonna have the same level of community, the same growth, the same hobby, like, da-da-da-da. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that there aren't other companies. It's just GW is such a massive gorilla in the scene that it's incredibly hard to escape, like, the gravity of the company. And when you do, you end up in a very, very small community, and it's not the same by any stretch. There's nothing comparable. That's all I'm saying, right? Yeah, I agree with you. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a monopoly in the sense that, like, yeah, there's no other options. I'm just saying, like, for a lot of other things, like, if I don't like, you know, if you look at, like, tech, there's always an alternative in almost every, like, but there's a reason that things like places like Facebook and Twitter are starting to run into antitrust issues, is because there isn't really reasonable alternatives. And GW, in a sense, they're at a size now that there isn't reasonable alternatives if you're interested in the scale and popularity of the wargaming. And again, that's not a bad thing. Hey, I'm actually really happy. Here's the thing. I'm really happy that Games Workshop is as popular as it is as big as it is. Brian, I disagree with you, man. Look, 3D printers have come a long way, and maybe in 5 years, we will be at a point where everyone's got a 3D printer. But I've also seen, like, I know a few people with resin 3D printers and some of the PLA ones, and it's not like buying the fucking Hewlett Packard from it's not like buying your Hewlett Packard from Staples or the Home Office Depot, plugging it in and going. To set up, like, a solid 3D printer, like, with that works, STL files, the resins, the fucking UV thing, the cleaning, all of it, right? To do all that, it's like a huge amount of work. It's a huge learning curve. So I agree with you that 3D printers are a future threat. I just don't think they're a threat right now, right? So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why, like, 3D printers in 10 years, 5 years, maybe 3D printers will be as common, STLs will be as good and available, and the tech will be as foolproof as going and buying a model. But I will tell you right now, to be honest, as much as I even love 3D printers, I love plastic models. I can do this. I can, well, you didn't see that. I can do this with my plastic models all day. I could drop this model all day, and guess what? Nothing's going to happen to it. I would not want to do that with a resin model. There's something about the durability of injection molded plastic, and obviously GW having the highest level of like the best models as well in the world. That just makes it like, I know a few, and I know a few people, I won't name names, that literally, well, I think we all know people that buy like resin, like China cast, or like resin knockoffs. But I know people that buy plastic. Like, it's one thing to buy like shitty forge rolled, that's like resin knockoffs, because it's a resin model. You're getting it in resin, and it's cheaper. And putting the IP issues aside, and the stealing part aside, I think forge rolled is super overpriced. But like, if you could have bought like a forge rolled resin model and you just got it from China in same and or better resin, that's one thing. But when people, me personally, why would I ever want a model in resin when I can have it in plastic? I don't. I never would. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Wyatt. Like the high end resin printers, those are the ones that like the ones GW uses to do prototypes. Those are the ones that like I think are nice. I think some of the newer ones that are like being developed are like the N-cubic photons, etc., etc. Yeah, but the thing, you know what's sad about that? You can still see their fucking print lines in half their models on the like heavy metal stuff on their previews. It's disgusting. It's pretty bad. I haven't done much painting, to be honest, but let's do some more painting. I just don't want to paint poxwalkers. They're fucking nightmare, man. Can you name me one person that thinks poxwalkers are fun models to paint? I don't think so. I was looking for zombie alternatives. You like poxwalkers? Please don't tell me. I was hoping those zombies for the new vampire counts would be out soon, but so I'm not gonna buy any more poxwalkers until those are out, and I'm gonna maybe pick up 20 of those to use for poxwalkers and maybe 40k them up a bit. But there's no way this is the 50. I'm on my 50th poxwalkers of like the original poxwalkers. Now there's no way I'm painting another like 30 of these for fucking some list. Some Star Trek shit? What Star Trek shit? Oh yeah. See ya Wyatt, thanks for tuning in, thanks for rating, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone that tuned in. Hey man, enjoy your dinner. Chat soon, and yeah, let me know when you guys want to. I'll come on and I'll rage and rant on Long War anytime. So you just name the time and the place. All right, what's next in these poxwalkers? I did all the blue. That's good. This is what I'm painting, guys. If you're wondering. You're only seeing what's off screen, but this is actually my hell right now. Can you guys just kill me? This is like not what I want to be doing right now, but alas, he who controls the meta controls life. I think I'm just gonna start base coating like metal areas, I think, at this point. That's probably what I'm gonna do. My Twitch counter is really my like yeah, I don't even know what's going on with my viewers. All right, let's see here. So for those of you that are just joining in, please make sure to follow me on Twitch and on YouTube. I finally got my custom YouTube URL, so it's youtube.com/Duplicity Paint Studio, I believe. So instead of having like a crazy weird like number, you can just go directly to my page, which is nice. Before it was like this crazy alphanumeric thing, but make sure to give me a like and subscribe on both pages. Check out my Instagram, Duplicity Paint or Duplicity Studio. Just go to my link tree. It's in the about. You can see all my the about because I'm Canadian, so it's the about. In my Twitch info, check out my various Instagram channels. I post content, website stuff like that. But got my schedule. I'm streaming my game against. For those of you that actually play 40K, I'll be streaming my Greek Hammer round 4 game against Team England, Death Guard versus Orcs, next Saturday at 12 o'clock noon Pacific Standard Time on this channel, live on YouTube and Twitch. So if you guys want to check out some high-level World Team Championship tabletop simulator games against me versus some bloke from across the pond, as they say, in the UK, please make sure to tune in because it's gonna be fun. I'm playing Orcs, which is supposed to be a good matchup for me, but my last 2 games were supposed to be 2 good matchups for me, and I lost both of them, so not a good sign for my my ability here. So now I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna paint all the fucking metal on all these fucking poxwalkers. Not stoked. Just do the base coat metal, and then base coat black. This is my favorite. This is my favorite metal line, guys. I know a lot of people talk about the Vallejo metal color. It's like impossible to get right now, but if you can't get Vallejo metal color, either the Scale 75 or the Pro Acryl. Where is it? These are my 2 favorite metals. Dark Silver from Pro Acryl and Scale 75 black metal. Those are like, they're like a perfect dark base coat metal. Highly recommended by me, which means you should go buy them immediately and paint with them. Yeah, if you guys have any other topics you want me to discuss, questions. Let me know. I'm painting with a Squidmar. I don't know if you guys watch Emil Squidmar Miniatures. He did a Kickstarter. And I'm using one of his brushes from the Kickstarter. In general, so far, the brushes I've used I have not liked. The reason I'm using this brush for this purpose is because it's for metallics and I'm base coating. And I'm just doing kind of like a quick job. But it's already like split quite a bit in like a bad way. So I'm not super stoked with it. Yeah, my go-to are my Rosemary & Co's, Series 33. And then after that, my Winsor & Newton's is my second best. I have one of the Balmwick brushes from Pro Acryl, so I haven't actually used it. I'm gonna do a whole show on brushes, to be honest, because I'm a bit of a brush addict. So I should probably do a show where I just kind of talk about brushes for 2 hours. Yeah, I got 2 sets of the Artist Opus from the Kickstarter, and I don't like them. I don't use them. I have one here that I'm using. This this is like a 000. I was just using it for detail, but like I also use like, this is a GW layer brush, and I think I got it in like a paint set. I don't buy GW brushes. I think I got this in like the Death Guard paint set or something like that. Came with it. I only really use them for like base coating and stuff. I don't use them for like mixing paint because I don't like to use my nice brushes. This is like the size 1 and the size 2 Rosemary & Co Series 33 are my favorite brushes. They have the best even like this is a size 2, which is quite large, but it still comes to like a really fine point. So it holds lots of paint, but you can still do lots of really fine detail with it. One thing, one trick, I don't know if it's called a trick, maybe this is just common sense, but whenever you're painting lots of one model, especially complicated models like poxwalkers, paint like don't like paint them individually. Like paint all the one pose, and then all of the next pose, and then all the next pose, and then this way, you kind of get faster at knowing the various areas. That this is the second one of this sculpt, but I already know where the metal is from the first one, so I can kind of quickly go and base coat it, and I don't have to like search for metal parts. It's kind of already in my head where all the metal bits are from already painting one, so it just gets a little bit quicker when you're painting like batch painting like large amount of models. Oh shit. Has anyone read Sons of the Selenar? It's a Horus Heresy novel. I'm gonna talk lore to you guys for a sec, because I just was reminded of something. Do I thin your paint slot? Yeah, I do, and I use a wet palette too. So this is a wet palette. I don't know if you have one of those, Brian, but definitely get one. So this is basically a sponge with water, and then this is like a membrane, and I sit this on top, and basically my paint will stay wet forever because it wicks water up from the sponge. So I have this. I have the big red grass one, and I have but I just don't find it necessary. It's too big, and it takes up way too much of my desk. So even with, yeah, I saw that they're doing, but the thing is, I don't like this is a parchment paper. I don't like the paper that comes with the wet palettes. So like the ones that you get it with, I find they're not as what's the word I'm looking for? Like porous, I guess, as the grocery store butcher paper. So once I run out of that stuff, I never buy it again, because I find just like the grocery store, a roll of like, actually I'll show you what I get. I don't get a roll anymore. So I bought this thing. This is huge. You can see it in my photo. It's like a whole pack of parchment paper from Amazon. It's like 12 by 16, 200 sheets. It's already square. So all I need to do, rather than having like a fucking roll, I just cut this down to small squares. And it's like 200 sheets, this whole pack. It's like the exact same stuff you'd get from the roll, but you just get like a pack like this off Amazon for like, I don't know, it's like 15 bucks. And this is going to last me, like, I've been using this. So I take these sheets out like this, and I cut them down. And like, this is just a stack of ones that I've cut. And so as I use one, I just chuck them and I just get a new one. And this big pack I've probably had for like 6 months now, and I'm barely through it. So even though I'm not like, sometimes I see what do you mean they all float? What does that mean? I don't understand. What floats? Basketra? Paper floats. How much paper are you putting in it? How much water are you putting in it? Really? Because like, look how much water is in mine. If I tip it, here, can you see that? So if I tip it, you can see that you can see the water there, right? So there's a decent amount of water, but this is like stuck. This is like, so see how flat that is? One thing I would recommend doing is, I don't want to waste this. I don't want to waste this, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll put my paper on, and then I just get a piece of plastic card and I push it like this to flatten it and make it nice and smooth, get rid of all the air bubbles. And then I just make sure, and I use a bottle like this, and I just constantly rehydrate it. As it starts to evaporate, I just use this to constantly rehydrate it, and then it stays wet forever, basically. So I'm not sure why yours floats. That doesn't make any sense. I've never heard of that. What's going on? Where'd my brush go? There it is. Oh yeah, okay. So I'm gonna tell you guys a story. So, Sons of the Selenar. It's a 30k Horus Heresy novel. It's a novella in the Siege of Terra series. So it's fairly new. So if you haven't read it, I don't blame you. It's like probably out in the last year. But it's basically the sequel to the Shattered Legions book that was like early books in the Horus Heresy, which follows basically a group of survivors. I don't understand what any of you guys are saying. In chat. So basically, it follows a group of survivors from the Horus Heresy. Let me just figure out which books it follows. So here we go. So if you read, I believe the first book in this group is called Deliverance Lost, maybe? Or is Deliverance Lost? I don't think so. I think Deliverance Lost is Dark Angels. Shattered Legions. So Shattered Legions is an anthology. And then basically Shattered Legions is an anthology, and then there's a few other books in there. But anyways, long story short, it follows a group of Marines that are basically from the Shattered Legions, which are like the remaining they're Salamanders, Raven Guard, and Iron Hands, and they're kind of survivors of Isfahan that basically find each other after the Dropside Massacre and essentially escape out on a ship. And it kind of follows them through kind of their tale of the Horus Heresy. But the last book in their story is called Sons of the Selenar. And they go to the moon, so Luna, which is the moon of Earth, of Terra. And there they find the Selenar, and the Selenar were the original gene crafters. Yeah, that's right. The Selenar were the original gene crafters that worked with the Emperor to create the Primarchs, the Custodes, and the Legion. So a lot of, it kind of goes into it how like a lot of people think that the Emperor basically on his own created the Space Marines. But in fact, he basically made an alliance with his group called the Selenar, who were like these master gene crafters, and they're all women, obviously, because I don't know why. And basically the Selenar are these like master gene crafters, and they're the ones that actually worked with the Emperor in the early days to develop the Custodes, to develop the Primarchs, the Thunder Warriors, etc., etc. And they kind of hate the Emperor because he basically forced them to work with. He basically forced them to like help, and said like he was gonna use their like shit for good. But then obviously it's the Emperor, so he goes and like basically uses their creations to do genocide and to kill many people and blah blah blah. So they're pretty pissed at the Emperor. They're not super happy with them. But in the book Sons of the Selenar, so Sons of the Selenar, what it basically stands for is like the Space Marines. The Space Marines are the Sons of the Selenar, because they are essentially like the children of these gene crafters called the Selenar, who are these women. And where am I going with this story? You're probably asking. Well, these Poxwalkers, the reason I thought about the story is these Poxwalkers have little plugs on their back. And there's a really cool scene in the book. I won't spoil too much, but essentially there's a really cool scene in the book where they go down to Luna, which is where the Selenar stay, and they have like a secret, basically, gene lab on Luna, which is the moon. And at one point, the Selenar have like all these like Space Marines that basically were like abominations. Like, yeah, I think Malcolm helped a bit. Basically, the Space Marines, they have all these Space Marines, like they have all the vats, like the big like you see like the aliens like in the vats where they're like growing Space Marines, and basically they had this like set of like Space Marines that basically like were like genetic mutants. So like basically they basically created Chaos Spawn Space Marines. The Selenar did as part of their testing to like perfect Space Marine gene code. There's like all their like failed experiments, and it's basically like the Chaos Spawn essentially. Like they're just mutated beyond reason. Some have like fucking like, you know, the black carapace's skin, and they're just like full on like chaos spawn basically that the Selenar have created, and they keep like a group of them in a set of like these like vats, and kind of in stasis that are like these like freak chaos space marines basically. And like there's like one that like literally has like Fulgrim's head sticking out of its chest, and there's like one that has like, you know, it's like 5 times the size of a normal space marine, and it's got like claw hands, and there's like, you know, they're essentially just giant chaos mutant spawn, but they're not chaos. They're like gene mutants, right? Their mutations are due to like gene craft and like when shit goes wrong in like the gene crafting. And then in this book specifically, it's like all the different legions. But there's a really cool scene where the Black Legion sends down some of the Justarian, which is like their like first company Terminators, to basically capture the Selenar and like steal their gene technology. And they like unleash these like Space Marine, like basically like Space Marine like fetus chaos spawns on the Terminators. And I don't know why, but I saw these little there's little valves in the backs of these Poxwalkers, and it just reminded me of that. This really cool scene where these like Space Marine rejects spawn things go and kill all these Chaos Space Marine Terminators, and I just wanted to share that story. So that's the whole story. There's nothing more to it. So definitely recommend go reading Sons of the Selenar, and in fact reading the whole Horus Heresy series if you have not read it, because it's really excellent, and I really much enjoy it. So that's my like 30-minute story. That really is about nothing, except that Sons of the Selenar is really cool. And it gives you a lot more insight. That's, I think, the biggest thing I like about the Horus Heresy series is how much you learn about the Emperor, to be honest. Like how much of a shitty dad he was. I just watched, yeah, but these aren't Space Marine failures. These are basically, like before the Space Marines were created, and they were trying to, the genetic engineers were trying to figure out how to make the Space Marine gene seed. These are like experiments gone wrong with Space Marine gene seed. So this isn't just some like normal human that like didn't make the cut to become a Space Marine. These are literally like people, like monsters and kind of all sorts of abominations that were created by like the genetic engineers that were actually creating Space Marine gene seed at the very beginning with the Emperor. And so it's like all their abominations and like all the like science experiments that essentially like went wrong. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's really cool. Because the scouts, what you're talking about, those guys are essentially just like recruits that like don't become full Space Marines because they like fail at the trials or like they're maybe not strong enough. But they're not like mutants in any regard. They're just like shitty people, right? Whereas in Sons of the Selenar, it's actually like mutants and shit. Anyways, highly recommend going and reading those books. You learn about how shitty of a dad the Emperor was. And after reading it, you're kind of like, yeah, he deserves to get Horus Heresied. Like, you don't really feel bad for him. You probably would have heresied too if you realized how bad of a dad he was. Oh, that's cool, man. I haven't read that one. There's so many 40k books that I feel like have those kinds of nuggets of lore. That like you have to really read a lot of the novels to learn. Yeah, the Raven Guard was a whole different book. Basically, the blueprint to make Space Marines was given to the Raven Guard, and then the Alpha Legion basically, like, you know, they changed they changed a 6 to a 9, and it turned all those people into mutants basically. That was a whole different story. It's kind of funny how, like, I don't know, like Sanguinis has wings and like Ferrus Manus had metal hands, And like no one really said anything. They're like, yeah, that's normal. He had literally like liquid metal hands, Ferris Manus. Which is kind of weird. Yeah, they all died. Thanks for the follow. Trader Legions, I just saw your follow. Thanks, appreciate it, man. Alright guys, I'm gonna do this last little belt buckle here. Maybe one more Poxwalker, and then I'm probably gonna call it. I'm gonna go make some dinner. I'll be doing another stream tomorrow night at 6 p.m., so please make sure to tune in there. Thanks for everyone. Oh, hey Trader, thanks. Yeah, Wyatt rated me, so I appreciate the follow. I'll be streaming tomorrow at 6 p.m. as well, and then Pacific, and then keep in touch for our best overall show this Thursday. I have LVO head judge John Wehrmeyer on. I think that's how you say his name, and we're gonna grill him pretty hard about kind of the state of the game and himself. We're gonna learn a little bit about John himself. So if you're interested in that kind of content, please tune in on Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, this channel, YouTube and Twitch. But other than that, have a happy Sunday. Thank you, everyone. Talk to you guys later.